All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling the NABH audit. You know, that super rigorous process that makes sure hospitals are up to snuff on quality and patient safety. For a lot of hospitals, though, it can feel like you're trying to walk through a minefield, right? But what if I told you the biggest tripwires, the things that could sink your accreditation, are probably happening right under your nose every single day? In this explainer, we're going to play detective. We're going to uncover these common pitfalls and, way more importantly, figure out exactly how to stop them in their tracks. So let's get started with the auditor's #1 target. First things first, we need to meet the main villain of our story. In the world of NABH audits, your biggest obstacle isn't a person or one single mistake. It's this idea of a non-conformity. Honestly, this is the term that auditors just live and breathe. So what in the world is a non-conformity, or NC for short? Well, to put it simply, it's anytime your hospital's actions, your paperwork, or your procedures don't match up with the official NABH rulebook. You can think of the auditors as investigators, and they are trained to spot every single gap between what should be happening and what's actually going on. Now, you've got to know, not all NCs are created equal. They really fall into two different buckets. A minor NC, think of it like a little warning flag. It's a slip-up that needs to be fixed, for sure, but it isn't an immediate danger. A major NC, on the other hand, that's a whole different animal. That's a serious breakdown that puts patient safety or quality of care at direct risk. These are the big red flags that can absolutely torpedo an accreditation. So where do these non-conformities tend to hide? To figure that out, we're going to crack open the auditor's case files, so to speak, and look at the top 3 areas where hospitals mess up the most. Think of these as the absolute hotspots for audit failures. First up, the paperwork trail. I know it sounds kind of boring, but trust me, this is where a ton of NCIs come from. An expired license or a missing form might seem like a small clerical error, but to an auditor, that's a potential risk to a patient. The fix is all about being systematic. You know, using version control so everyone's on the same page, having a system that automatically flags when credentials are about to expire, and, this is key, doing your own internal audits to catch these things before they do. Okay, our second case file shifts from paper to people. Your team is your best defense, but they're also human. When things get hectic, it's easy to rush through consent form or forget a specific protocol. And auditors know this. They'll walk up to a staff member and ask them about a policy. If that person draws a blank, it's an instant red flag for a training gap. So the prevention here is all about empowerment through knowledge. Training has to be a continuous thing, not a one-and-done deal. And now for our third and honestly most critical case file, gaps in your processes and safety procedures. This is where major NCs love to pop up. Things like sloppy infection control or medication mix-ups, these are deal breakers because they directly endanger patients. But look at that last point. Delayed or no corrective action. To an auditor, that is the biggest red flag of all. It tells them that even when you find a problem, your system isn't built to actually fix it. That's why prevention has to be active. Mock fire drills, double-check systems, and a solid plan to make sure that when a problem is found, it's solved for good. Okay, so we've looked through the case files, we've seen the common failures, and yeah, it can seem like a lot. But the secret isn't scrambling to fix problems when an auditor points them out. The secret is to build a proactive system that keeps them from ever happening. It's all about making a shift, from being reactive to being always ready. And here it is, your 5-step proactive playbook. It all kicks off with a central hub, a quality management system, or QMS, to keep track of everything. That system then lets you do step 2, regular internal audits. Think of it as practice for the big game. Then, whatever you find in those audits informs step 3, continuous targeted training for your team. But for any of this to work, you need step 4, getting your leadership and every department on board. And finally, step 5 is using technology to automate alerts and simplify the whole thing, which frees up your team to focus on what matters most, the patients. As we start to wrap this up, it's really important to zoom out for a second. Passing an NABH audit is a huge accomplishment, but it's not the final destination. The real mission here, the whole point of all these standards, is to move beyond just acing a test. It's about building a genuine, hospital-wide culture of quality. So let's just boil it all down. What are the key takeaways? First, non-conformities happen, but they are absolutely preventable. Second, The secret to a smooth audit isn't last-minute panic, it's proactive management. Your best weapons in this fight are rigorous internal audits and non-stop staff training. And that really brings us to the biggest point. True success isn't that certificate you hang on the wall. It's a deep, shared commitment from everyone to get a little bit better every single day. And that leaves us with one last, really important question to think about. Is quality something you just switch on for an audit? Or is it the fundamental mission that drives every single thing your hospital does every single day? Thanks for joining us.